Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we will be talking about cells. On the last two videos on biology, we talked about what is a living thing, and we somehow figured out what is biology and what not, since biology is the study of living things. And then after that, we went on to talk about taxonomy and the organization of all living things. However, today we're going down into actual business and we'll talk about the basic components of life. Or we could call it like the basic building blocks of life. Cells. Like every single living thing has cells. Like one cell, two cells, or like us, trillions of cells. So today we'll be looking into the internal structures of a cell. So firstly, there are actually two cell types. One is the animal cell. So there's the animal cell and the plant cell. The animal cell is different from the plant cell in a way that the plant cell has chloroplasts that can allow them to make their own food, while our animal cells, we don't have such functions, unfortunately. Animal cells have cell membranes, plant cells have cell walls. Cell walls are more rigid, and it does not allow a lot of movement. Okay, so let's go into this cell, the components of the cell. So in a cell, there is the cell membrane, which is this thing over here, which basically is the border of a cell. And then obviously inside the cell, there's cytoplasm, as you can see over here in the bottom right corner over here. Cytoplasm is like this gooey liquidy things inside the cell. And then over here you have the nucleus. The nucleus is basically like the mastermind, the central control of the cell, where you have all your genetic information, DNA, things. They're all in the nucleus. And there's also a lot of cell organelles, and they carry out specific functions for different functions for the cell. So you could imagine the cell to be something like a city, and each cell organelle does different things. And then of course there's also a network of filaments that is known as the cytoskeleton, which is the cell's skeleton, which obviously just basically is the structure and organization of the cells, which keeps all the cell organelles in place. And yeah, it's not here. But basically, let's talk about the cell membrane now, the border. One of the most important things. The cell membrane is consisting of the phospholipid bilayer. The phospholipid bilayer basically is just two layers of phospholipids. Now, what are phospholipids? Phospholipids are these things. They are these macromolecules, like lipids, which is basically like fat, and phospholipids is this. It has a head and two tails. Now, basically, the head is this hydrophilic, and these tails over here, they are hydrophobic. So what does hydrophilic mean? It means love water. Hydrophobic means hate water. So we'll just do this. And it's not really hate, it's more like afraid of, since phobic comes from phobia. Phobia is what we talked about on the video in psychology class. It's being afraid of something, right? So basically the head loves water, the tails hate water. So that would make it automatically arrange in such a way that each gets what it wants. So basically it's organized actually like this. Now why? Because Outside the cell, it's water. Inside the cell, it's also water. It's the cytoplasm, which is just water with a lot of minerals in it. Those heads that love water, they go towards water, while those tails, they go towards themselves, right? Because they're trying to hide from the water. Now let's go on back. Let's go back to our beautiful diagram over here. So as you can see, nucleus, as I said just now, is the mastermind of the cell. Now let's go into and let's talk about this cool mastermind. So over here we have a very simple diagram of a nucleus. Let's go into the details. Now firstly, let's look at the nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope, basically, what is this? It is the membrane. Over here you can see these nuclear pores. Nuclear pores are basically these holes over here that facilitate things like ribosomes to get in and out of the nucleus. So it's basically the exit. And then over here we can see the nucleoplasm. So this rings a bell. Cytoplasm, right? Nucleoplasm basically is the cytoplasm, but the cytoplasm inside the nucleus. It's just a bunch of liquid for the chromatin to float around in. Now, what is this chromatin? What is chromatin? Chromatin basically is chromosome. As the cell divides, us humans, we have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now, this basically means that we can basically, every time the cell divides, the chromosomes has to replicate and go to two different cells. Basically, it's basically our genetic information. There's like a lot of genes in the chromosomes. Chromosomes are basically what our DNA is, right? It's our genetic information. How we are, like, maybe we have black eyes, maybe someone else has blue eyes. It's all based on the chromosomes. It's based on one random allele, or usually it's a few alleles in the chromosomes. Now, the chromosomes compacted into the nucleus, floating around in the nucleoplasm. We call that the chromatins. When it's like a bunch of gooey stuff but not organized. It's just a bunch of chromatin. Now, over here, let's look into the nucleolus. The nucleolus is the nucleus of the nucleus. It's actually where the rRNA is. rRNA is basically ribosomal RNA. RNA is ribonucleic acid. So what is ribosomal RNA? Ribosomal RNA is this RNA responsible for transcribing ribosomes. What is ribosomes? We'll talk about that later. So basically, this is where rRNA transcribes the ribosomes, and then afterwards the ribosomes will be released into the cell to do what it needs to be done. Now let's go back to the diagram. So here we have the diagram. Let's see. So we have already covered nucleolus over here, nuclear membrane over here. Let's go down to lysosome. What is the lysosome? The lysosome is, if we look at an example, if it's like in a city, the lysosome would kind of be, I don't know, the recycling plant. So lysosomes are these organelles that contain like these enzymes, right? Enzymes is like it's a kind of molecule that basically dissolves other things. So enzymes. Basically lysosomes has all these enzymes, and its function is to like break down all the biological polymers, which are like proteins, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, and lipids. We know them as the macromolecules. Now, that's basically what lysosomes are. They are the recycling plants. Now, cytoplasm, we've went through this. Ribosomes, okay. Ribosomes, those are the things that were produced in the nucleolus, in the nucleolus, by the rRNA. So ribosomes, what do ribosomes do? Ribosomes are used actually to synthesize protein. It's this cellular structure made of RNA and protein, and it is the site of protein synthesis in the cell. The ribosome reads the mRNA's sequence and translates the genetic code into a string of amino acids, which grows into long chains that fold to form proteins. Now, what does this mean? It basically means that mRNA, this is something we'll cover later on, how mRNA's sequence can translate into this code for amino acids to form proteins. It's basically how the DNA basically controls our features in the way of proteins, right? So ribosomes basically is the site for this protein synthesis to happen. Now we are at rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now, what is rough endoplasmic reticulum? Rough endoplasmic reticulum is long for rough ER. Endoplasmic reticulum can be shortened to ER. Now, what does the rough endoplasmic reticulum actually do? Now, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is the place that produces proteins for the cells. The rough endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes on it. So as you can see over here, you can see these weird dots over here. You can see these weird dots over here. These are basically ribosomes. They attach themselves to this rough ER, and what it does is it basically goes through protein synthesis and makes proteins. Now, the rough ER, it's very important because proteins are very, very important to us. Now, after the rough ER, after the proteins are made, they basically ride in these capsules and going to the Golgi apparatus. So let's highlight this Golgi apparatus. What is this Golgi apparatus? It sounds complicated, right? But it's not that complicated. It's basically the Golgi apparatus basically does transport, right? So basically the Golgi apparatus transports and sorts these proteins and lipids to send them to other parts of the cell or to other cells, right? So what it does is transport. So that's basically what the Golgi apparatus does. It's like the post office in a city. Now let's go to vacuoles. What are vacuoles? Vacuoles are the storage centers. Vacuoles, they're basically this place that they're where they help gather the waste products, and it's this storage center for the cell basically. So I'll just write storage over here. Now, and then we have the mitochondrion, which is singular for mitochondria. Mitochondria, this is one of the most important things in the human cell. Mitochondria goes through cellular respiration and produces energy for the body to work, for the cells to work. Now, this energy is then in turn stored in ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That's what the mitochondria is. It's the powerhouse for the cell. Now let's move on to the ER, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum it's basically just like the rough ER, but it produces a different thing. So as you know, rough ER produces protein, right? Now smooth ER is different. It produces lipids and also steroids. So yeah, that's what the smooth ER is. Now, last but not least, centrosomes. they like organize the microtubules. The microtubules are used like to duplicate before cell division. It also plays an important role in regulating like some cellular functions. Okay, so there we have it, the map of the cell. And yeah, feel free to take a screenshot over here. This is basically every single cellular function you will ever see in a cell. So really, thanks for watching this cell video. Remember to like and subscribe and watch the other videos, and sit tight and wait for other videos on our biology course.